Before we continue, please subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. If you've ever trusted a gut feeling or a child's whisper, this is for you. My name is Frank Dalton. I'm 70. I live in a shingled house on Maple Street in Guilford, Connecticut, where the salt air sneaks through the windows and the neighborhood dogs announce the mail like it's a parade. 40 years ago, I took over my father's small construction outfit and learned the world by lifting it tools first. Talk after. I'm a widower. My wife Elaine died 7 winters ago, and grief made the house too quiet for a while. Work filled some of it. Coffee fills the rest. Dad, I need you to listen to me this time without jumping to conclusions. The words arrived in my living room before my son did. Trevor burst through my front door mid-sentence, not bothering to knock. His confidence felt rehearsed, like he'd practiced in the car. Mirror pep talk first. Sincerity second. I removed my reading glasses, folded the evening paper, and set both aside. The leather armchair creaked as I sat up straighter. "Evening to you too, son," I said, the way a man does when he's been talked past before. What's so urgent it couldn't wait for a proper greeting? Trevor paced to the bookshelf, pivoted, hands carving the air. "This is it, Dad. The opportunity I've been waiting for. A real estate syndicate with guaranteed returns." Guaranteed is a word that makes old men reach for file cabinets. I stood and walked to mine with deliberate steps. Trevor's eyes followed, nervous. I pulled a manila folder labeled Trevor Investments 2019 to 2025 and spread it on the coffee table. Guaranteed. I said, like Miami. I slid a receipt across the wood $75,000 into condos that never got built. Glossy brochures that looked legitimate until the developer vanished. "You never trust me," he snapped, posture buckling as he recognized the pages. "Every time I try to build something, you sabotage it with your negativity." I opened another folder. "Cryptocurrency mining equipment that never shipped," I said quietly. 50 grand to a website that went dark overnight." I turned another page. "The food truck with the partner you swore was misunderstood. 3 months, and he disappeared with the till." "That was different," he said, flushing. His hand found his jacket on the back of the couch like it was a lifeline. "This syndicate has real properties, real investors, real returns." "Show me the documentation," I said. "Let me meet the principal. Let me read the debt stack." "I don't have it with me then. You don't have my money." Silence stretched between us like a bad bridge. Outside, long shadows crossed my lawn. A neighbor's dog barked down the block. Trevor's shoulders slumped, then squared again with borrowed anger. "Fine," he spat. "When this makes millions without you, don't come crawling back for your cut." He stormed toward the door. The slam rattled the panes the way slams do when the house is older than both of you. His taillights bled red around the Maple Street corner, and then the street went back to being a street. I stood by the window longer than I needed to, a reflection ghost-like in the glass. In the kitchen, the coffee ritual gave me a thing to hold, grind, measure, pour. I carried the mug to my study and opened drawers that remember. Manila folders, don't judge. They tally Miami. Crypto, food truck. The names stacked like lessons ignored. There are other lines in those ledgers too. Mohegan Sun, Foxwoods. "Just until my next commission check," he'd said. And I'd believed him until belief started. Feeling like a game where I was the only one playing? Fair. I sat at the desk and ran a finger along the scar on my knuckle. We're a misplaced utility. Knife taught me more about attention than any book ever did. My father built this business with calluses and a thermos. I learned under sinks and on scaffolds, not in glossy brochures. I'd tried to teach Trevor the same way. Somewhere between prom and marriage, he learned a different lesson. That success arrives when it's called loudly enough. My phone buzzed on the desk. Meredith, my daughter-in-law, had a talent for sugary texts with sharp edges. "Trevor's 40th is Saturday. Can you come?" 5 p.m. at our place. Casual, family only. I stared at the smiley, which felt like it had teeth. I typed, "I'll be there. Do you want me to bring anything?" She replied instantly, "Just yourself. And maybe that bourbon Trevor likes. He'll be so happy to see you." Heart emoji. He will be so happy to see me. The last time I'd seen him happy to see me, we were sitting on the back of my pickup eating egg sandwiches with our feet in dust. That memory didn't want the company these ones kept. Still, I'd go. I always did. The hope that makes fathers drive in snowstorms for games that get rained out doesn't evaporate. It just learns to wear a coat. I made a few calls, small ones to people who hold my balances and my breath steady. First to my attorney, Liz Parker. Liz, I said when she picked up, I want us to meet Monday morning early. You okay? She asked, the way someone with competence threaded into their voice asks. I will be, I said. I want to add a spendthrift trust for my granddaughter, update the POAs, and set a rule in writing. No large transactions without a face-to-face at the bank. And I hesitated. Someone might be creative on Saturday. I'll text you a checklist for the weekend, she said. No signing, no initialing. No, it's just a receipt. If anyone tries something, leave. If they threaten capacity, call me. And Frank. I'm sorry, thank you, I said, meaning it second to my banker Ms. Ramirez at Shoreline Savings. Flag my profile, I said. No wires over 5,000 without me in your office. Add a note for tellers. Ask for the code word. What code word? She asked Thermos, I said, and smiled a little. Third to my neighbor Walt, retired firefighter who still mows his lawn like it's an inspection. You around Saturday? I asked. For you always, he said. You expecting a party you don't want? I'm expecting to need a friendly knock at 6:30, I said. With your famous banana bread. As a pretext, he laughed. Copy that. I'll bring the loaf and the eyes. Saturday arrived smelling like late spring and grilled meat. Their colonial on Birch Lane looked the way houses look when they want you to know which tax bracket they live in. There were balloons at the gate that wobbled like enthusiasm. Cars lined the curb, chrome grinning. I carried the bourbon Meredith had asked for. On the stoop, I paused and let the air tell me what kind of room I was walking into. Murmurs, ice clinking. Laughter that sounded like a commercial. The door swung open. Meredith's smile was a showroom floor bright, shiny to clean. Frank. She sang, You made it. Wouldn't miss it, I said, and stepped into their heat. The house smelled like catered barbecue and lemon cleaner. Trevor was across the room with a glass in his hand and a crowd angled to make him feel taller. He saw me and arranged his face. Dad, he said, then hugged me like a man patting down an old jacket for cash. Happy 40, I said. You look good for a kid. Better with investors, he joked. Shot at humor that didn't invite laughter so much as it demanded it. The crowd obliged. I found a seat near the dining room arch where I could see the kitchen and the sliding door to the deck. I've built enough houses to know where rooms hide their real conversations. Meredith moved around the party like a woman who knows how to oil squeaks. She put my bourbon on the bar and poured me a drink without asking. I watched her hand, careful, the way her eyes followed the glass, the way her smile sharpened when she brought it to me. That's when small legs wrapped around my knee. Grandpa. It was Eliade years old, a braid like a rope. My granddaughter who once fell asleep on my chest as a toddler while I watched the Red Sox lose in extra innings. She tilted her face up, serious eyes wide. Hey, Ellie Belly, I said, bending to her level. You keeping these adults in line? Her hand shot out and gripped my wrist. Tight, panic made her voice small. Grandpa, you have to leave. Now. My heart hit my ribs. Why? She looked over her shoulder toward the kitchen. Toward Meredith's sharp red nails and the sink where a woman in a black dress was rinsing wine glasses. Ellie leaned closer. Just go, she whispered. Please. Sometimes a lifetime of reading blueprints and bids and men in suits can't match one sentence from a child. The part of me that has kept me alive on scaffolds and in negotiations answered. I trusted her. I stood. Ellie, I said calmly, I left your present in the car. Will you walk me to the door? She nodded, eyes wet and fierce. At the threshold, I glanced back. Trevor had moved toward the bar where my untouched drink waited in a nice rocks glass like a cue. Meredith stood beside it, laughing at something a man with two white teeth said. her hand hovering near the drinks like she was checking the levels. On the counter, a small brown bottle amber glass with a dropper cap sat behind the ice bucket. I could have missed it if I hadn't learned to look for the thing you're not supposed to see. "Walt," I texted as I stepped onto the stoop. "Banana bread. Now." We walked to my sedan. Ellie climbed into the passenger seat without me asking and shut the door like a person who knows what a barrier is for. She looked at me, lip trembling. "Don't drink the special drink," she blurted. "Mom said to make sure you got the amber glass one because it was for your nerves and it would make you sleep. She told Aunt Kelsey to get the drops from the cabinet and put them in yours." I heard it, Grandpa. Please don't be mad." Mad wasn't the word for what I felt. Cold was closer, clean, like a blade in water. "You did right," I said. "You did exactly right." My voice was calm. "I don't know who I borrowed it from." "You're very brave. We're going to make sure everyone is safe." She nodded, crying now because permission had been given. The front door opened. Walt strode up the walkway, holding a loaf of banana bread like a battering ram and a grin like a man with a trump card. "Heard there was a birthday," he boomed. "And that someone needed carbs." Trevor appeared behind him, smile taut. "Dad, where are you going?" "You just got here." "I forgot something in the car," I said, "and I'm heading home." "Belly's not great." I patted my stomach. The old man excused. "Say goodbye to the cake for me. Come on," he said, laughing a shade too loud. "Have one drink. Meredith poured your favorite." I caught Meredith over his shoulder. She held my eyes a fraction of a second too long. Her hand slid the amber bottle back behind the ice bucket and then out of sight. She smiled. "Don't be rude, Frank. It's a toast." "You know I don't mix," I said. "Doctor's orders." "Blood pressure." I tapped my chest. The excuse has saved more men than medicine. Later, Trevor asked tightly. "Call you tomorrow," I said. "Happy birthday, son." I put Ellie's hand in Walt's. "Walk her back in," I said softly. "I'll text you." Ellie looked like she wanted to glue herself to my leg. I crouched and kissed her forehead. "You did good, kid. Eat 2 pieces of cake for me." She nodded, brave again. Walt marched her inside with a running monologue about pecans. I got in my car and drove away slow. Like I wasn't leaving a room where something had changed. 2 blocks down, I pulled over and breathed. The hands on my steering wheel had steadied beams in storms. They could steady me. I called Liz. "You were right to leave," she said after I told her the short version. "Do not confront tonight. Don't go back. I'm calling a friend at the local PD to ask a hypothetical about sedatives at a party. I'm also texting you a list. Freeze your credit. Change your online bank passwords. And put a no large withdrawal without in-person code note on your accounts. Monday 8 a.m. we move your assets into a revocable trust with me as successor trustee. Tighten your powers of attorney and set up an education trust for Ellie. Also, Frank, call someone you trust to witness if your son shows up angry." I hung up and did exactly what she told me. Then I called Carla. Carla runs the restaurant that catered the party and no nonsense. Woman with a stare that makes heat behave. She's fed my crews for years. "I have eaten her roasted chicken in hard hats and in suits, Carla," I said. "You working a Birch Lane event tonight?"
"We are," she said.
The clink of trays and the hush of professional kindness moved behind her voice. "You okay?" "Not yet," I said. "Did you see anyone put anything in my drink?" She was quiet so long, I could hear a faucet somewhere. Then, "Yes," she said. "Your daughter-in-law told the hostess to add the drops to the old-fashioned with the big cube." Hostess asked me what drops. Said no. I put the glass aside and poured you a fresh one myself. Then you left. "Thank you," I said, and my voice almost broke, which is a thing I do not let it do. "Can you write that down later?" "Not now, later." "On Monday. Come by the kitchen tomorrow," she said briskly. "I'll have the glass label for you. And Frank? Yes, I've seen a lot of families. Bring a witness next time." I drove home with the windows cracked. The evening smelled like lawns getting ideas about summer. In the kitchen, the banana bread Walt forgot on my counter felt heavy and right. I cut a slice, and ate it standing. I called my answering machine, just to hear Elaine's voice on the old recording. Yeah. Sin, I indulge once a month. Like a man who keeps a prayer in his pocket, I set the phone. Dunn looked at the stack of manila folders on the study desk. Miami, crypto, food truck. They felt small compared to amber glass and a child's urgent whisper. What saved me that night wasn't my ledgers. It was Ellie, 8 years old, and braver than the adults in the room. What I did next saved more than me. Before we continue, please subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. This chapter is how a whisper turns into a plan you can stand on. I slept like a man who'd left a fire smoldering in the next room half an hour at a time. I started moving the way I know how, one practical thing after another. Froze my credit. Changed every bank password. Turned on to Dash Factor. Called Shoreline Savings and asked Ms. Ramirez to put a note on my profile. No wires and no large withdrawals. Unless I'm in the branch with an ID and a code word. What code word? She asked. Thermos, I said. Resting my hand on the dented green Stanley my father carried in '68. Code word thermos added, she said. Trusted contact, Elizabeth Parker. I texted Liz. She called right back. You did right leaving, she said. Monday, we make it formal. Trust, POAs, education fund for Ellie, bank flags. Today, gather witnesses. First witness. Carla, her kitchen already smelled like butter and heat, and people who know what they're doing. She met me at the back door with a printed page and a face that didn't waste time. Timeline, she said. Meredith told our hostess to add calming drops to your old-fashioned for his nerves, Janelle asked me. I said no. We set that glass aside and poured a fresh one. After cake, we photographed the bottle where she'd stashed it behind the ice. She handed me the photo. An amber dropper bottle label, Nightcom Herbal, Valerian. Passion flower, melatonin, in Sharpie on the side, 2 dropperfuls. Janelle will talk, Carla said. She's 23 and already smarter than half the city. Write your statement and seal it, I said. I'll pick it up Monday. Bring the thermos next time, she said. I'll fill it with something that'll make your doctor jealous. Second witness, Ms. Ramirez, at Shoreline. She shook my hand over the counter and said, teller's briefed. Anything over 5,000 triggers the thermos question. No wires without a manager, and your voice. Thank you, I said. If Trevor or Meredith show up, call me, or Walt. She smiled. Already in the note, at 11, a group text arrived from Meredith. Brunch Tuesday. Makeup for Saturday, just us. 6 p.m., we can clear the air. Hearts X2, I replied. My place. Tuesday, 6. I'm making coffee. Walt popped his head in my garage that afternoon, holding a folding chair and a US-4 backup grin. You want me on the porch? He asked. Kitchen, I said. Bring that banana bread you pretend is for other people, and stop by the PD on your waist. Perot if he can do a courtesy swing at 6:10 to return a wallet I didn't lose. Walt saluted. Copy. Monday. Liz and I signed papers until the tabs on the trust binder looked like a well-read Bible. We titled the house and Shoreline. Counts to the revocable trust successor trustee Liz. Added a spendthrift subtrust for Ellie tuition and health paid to institutions, not parents, and updated my POAs. We wrote a short letter of wishes, plain English. Relationship over excuses. Service over speeches. Institutions. Paid directly. Ellie's safety first. We stopped at the police station. Not a complaint yet, I told Officer Pro at the desk. A note in the file. Possible attempted drugging at a family party. He took the details, typed slowly, and slid a card across the counter. Call me if anyone loses patience on Tuesday, he said. I didn't confront anyone. I set a table, Tuesday, 5:45 p.m. My kitchen smelled like coffee and resolve. I put the old thermos in the middle of the table. I poured my own mug and nobody else's. I set 2 water bottles with intact seals by the placemats. Walt sat at the far end of the table with a paper plate and a fork. Like a man who thought he was there for dessert and happened to overhear a revolution. They arrived at 6:01. Meredith's smile was too many watts for my small house. Trevor's "Hey Dad" had that careful brightness he uses when he wants to sell something human. "Coffee?" I asked, lifting the thermos. "I'll pour," Meredith said automatically. Drifted toward the counter and found, instead of a pot, my thermos and a row of clean mugs. Her eyes flicked, clocking her missing prop. "I'll take water," I said, cracking my seal. "If you want coffee, the thermos is hot." She poured herself a mug. Trevor took a water. Ellie ran in from the hall, sneakers soft on old floors, and climbed into her seat next to Walt like she'd chosen the safest corner. Frank, Meredith began, tone dipped in reconciliation. Saturday was tense. "I only wanted to help with your nerves. My mother uses herbal drops. No one was trying to harm you. It wasn't your choice," I said. "Or hers. Or anyone's but mine. You don't put anything in anyone's drink. That's not herbs. That's control." She rolled her eyes. "We were trying to avoid a scene, you failed," Walt said around a mouthful of banana bread. Then, apologetic, "Sorry. Carry on." Trevor opened a leather folder. "Dad, look," he said, sliding a packet across. "Family syndicate. We can wrap your assets in a family office structure. You'll have a monthly disbursement. We'll manage the investments. The returns are better in these vehicles." I didn't touch the papers. "What's the debt stack?" I asked. "Who sits behind the GP? When was the SPV formed?" "Show me the Form D," he blinked. "Dad, you don't need to drown in jargon. This is turnkey." I slid my own printout across while look up. The syndicate website registered 3 weeks ago. The principal, Evan Marsh. A FINRA broker check alert barred. The Delaware entity formed last month. The investors, page stock photos. I'd spent Monday afternoon with a pot of coffee and the state regulators' website. "You're hanging your pitch on a man who can't legally sell gum in a courthouse," I said. "And you brought this to my kitchen." Trevor's face worked like an engine that couldn't find idle. "You never give me a chance," he said. "Default script." "I gave you 3, I said quietly. "Miami, crypto. The truck. Try different now." The doorbell rang. Walt jumped up. "I'll get it," he said, and returned with Officer Perot doing the world's most casual forgot your wallet cameo. "Evening, Mr. Dalton," Perot said to me. "Thought I left your wallet in my car after you dropped it at the station? Turns out I didn't." He smiled. "Sorry to interrupt," Meredith paled. Trevor stared at the officer and then at me. "We're fine, officer," I said. "Thank you for checking." He nodded, slow. "Call if you need me," he said, and left the kind of silence that changes plans. I stood and pushed my chair back. "Here's what's happening," I said. "I've put my assets into a trust. No one here is getting a pen and a power of attorney. I filed a non-emergency report regarding Saturday's calming drops. If anything like that happens again, we'll skip Nan. I'll still help my granddaughter. Directly, her school will be paid by the trust note intermediaries. No family office." Meredith bristled. "You can't cut us out." "I'm cutting the schemes out," I said. "And the secret bottles. And the papers that look like protection and read like theft." Ellie's voice, small and brave. "Grandpa?" "Yes, Peanut. Do I get to come over Sundays?" "As long as you want," I said. "We'll make pancakes." Meredith turned sharply. "We'll decide what Sundays look like," she said. "You'll decide if Ellie comes over when the court's parenting plan says you decide," I said evenly. "But you will not keep her from a safe, neutral place as punishment because a grown-up told the truth." Nobody moved. The house breathed. The old clock in the hall coughed its little tick. Trevor stared at the papers, then at the thermos, then at me. "You think you're better than me," he said. "I think I'm older," I said. "That's all. And I'm trying to be braver than my fear of losing you by telling the truth to your face." He flinched. For a second, his eyes looked like the boy who used to ride behind me on the tractor, hands on my belt loops, yelling, "Faster, Dad." Meredith stood, scraping the chair. "We're done," she said. "Almost," I said. "One more thing." I lifted a small Ziploc from the counter inside, a ceramic cup with a lid I hadn't used. "When you poured me tea on your way out Saturday, I swapped it and sealed this." I had it tested. I slid a paper across. "Courtesy of a local lab doing a curiosity assay for a contractor who rebuilds their flooring. Valerian and diphenhydramine. With bourbon that can stop a 70-year-old's breathing." Meredith's mask slipped. "It was an accident," she said. "I grabbed the wrong drops." "You grabbed a bottle and hid it behind ice," I said. "Nobody accidentally writes the dropper falls in Sharpie." Trevor looked at her, really looked. Something cracked. He placed his palms on the table and pushed himself up slow. "We're leaving," he said. Then to Ellie, softer, "Get your jacket." Ellie looked at me. "Can I take banana bread?" she asked. Walt held out half the loaf like a communion. "Take 2, he said. They left without slamming. Another miracle. I didn't gloat. I poured myself coffee from my father's thermos and cut a slice of bread and sat on the kitchen stool my wife bought in 1982 when we were too young to know. Furniture could last longer than plans. I texted Liz a photo of the empty mugs in the sealed water bottles and the thermos in the middle of the table. She replied, "Good Monday. We'll add one more thing to the trust letter. Any family office or syndicate must provide a complete docket and third-party verification before we even look at it. And we'll send a short letter to Ellie's school counselor, heads up, not alarm." I wrote back, "Do it." Ellie texted from the backseat 3 donut emojis and a picture of banana bread with a bite missing. I sent a thumbs up and a pancake gif I didn't know my phone had. What saved me Saturday was a whisper from a kid. What will save us going forward is not clever traps it's rooms with, rules and witnesses, and coffee from a thermos that remembers the man who raised me. Asterisk if you're listening on the channel. Hit subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from. This chapter is Receipts, a Firm Teller. And the first real crack in an old story? Monday afternoon, I boiled a fresh pot and sat with my laptop like it was a job site. The syndicate Trevor waved around had 3 layers. A website, a Delaware LLC, and a smiling man named Evan Marsh, whose photo appeared on 3 different About Us pages for 3 different outfits. Did what a foreman does, walked the project? Not the pitch, who is. Domain registered 3 weeks ago by a privacy service in Nevada, Delaware, Division of Corporations. LLC formed last month, no filed managers listed. Registered agent used for hundreds of shells. Sex Edgar. No Form D state regulator portal. No notice filing.FINRA. Broker check. Evan Marshbard. Material misrepresentations. Selling away. I saved PDFs of everything and dialed the Connecticut Department of Banking Securities and Business. Investments Division. The woman who answered sounded like she had seen every scam and could braid them blindfolded. Tip line. She asked after I gave her the short version. "Yes," I said. Unregistered offering. A barred individual selling. Pitch reached my kitchen. "Email the documents," she said. "We'll assign an investigator. You may hear from James Lynn." I sent the file. 10 minutes later, James Lynn called. Voice like a file folder. Orderly, patient, practiced. "Mr. Dalton, thank you for the tip," he said. "We see Mr. Marsh's name. If anyone solicits you for a private placement, ask for Form D, the PPM, the subscription agreement, the accredited investor questionnaire, and a list of risk factors. If they say guaranteed, leave. Full stop." I left, I said. "And I'll tell my son the state called me before the money called him." "Do," he said. "And if you get any documents, forward them. We prefer paper." Tuesday morning, Ms. Ramirez's name lit my phone. "Good timing," she said. "A woman named Meredith Dalton just presented a limited durable power of attorney and asked for a $25,000. Cashier's check from your trust. Account payable to Marshed's Partners, LLC?" She said, "You authorized it," asked the code word. I said, "I did," she said. She said, "Herb tea?" I said, "That's not it." I invited her to sit while I called you. She declined and left in a hurry. Thank you, I said, and had to sit down even though I was already sitting. Old anger wants to stand. New boundaries ask it to take a chair. Also, Ms. Ramirez added, your note about no POAs without legal review made this easy. Even if she guessed the most, our policy is no disbursements without you here. We've got your back. After we hung up, my phone buzzed again. James Lynn from the state. Odd coincidence, he said. We just received an inquiry from a Meredith Dalton, asking if our office blesses private offerings from Marsh Edge Partners. We do not bless. We regulate. She hung up when we offered to send her the complaint history. Thank you, I said. It's a small town and a small state. Everyone hears when you knock on the wrong doors. I didn't call Trevor, not yet. I drove to Ellie's school instead. Ms. Holloway, the guidance counselor, at a desk with too many pens and the calm you get from talking kids down from ledges no one else sees. We sat with the principal, Mr. Chen, and the social worker, Ms. Rivera. Paperwork to the side. People in front. I'm not here to make a case, I said. I filed a non-emergency report with the police. I want you to know Ellie told me about drops at a party and did the right thing telling a safe adult. She may be jittery this week. She saved me. She's 8. Ms. Holloway nodded. We'll keep eyes and ears on. We'll document without drama. We'll check in with her teacher. If she wants to talk, we'll let her talk. And if anything escalates at home, we're mandated reporters. That helps more than it hurts. Good, I said. Also, if she needs a word to text me that means come get me, we'll pick one. Not help, Ms. Rivera said, smiling. Something ordinary. Pancakes, Ellie said at dinner on Sundays later when I asked. Because pancakes means safe. We wrote it down. Pancakes equals pick me up. We taped it to the inside of my pantry door like a secret posted where bananas used to hang when the kids were. Little Wednesday morning. I stacked lumber on the sawhorses for a porch rail fix I'd been putting off too long. A car door shut outside. Trevor stood at the foot of my path with his hands empty and his expression not arranged yet. Walk? He asked. We walked the block. Like men who don't know how to talk indoors yet. I tried to wire 25 grand, he said without flinching. They asked me for a code word. Meredith said it was herb tea. We left. I know, I said. The state called, he said, voice gone thin. Said the Gamarsh has a history. Said I could be liable if I solicited anyone. Said words like unregistered and civil penalty. Good, I said. You heard it from someone who doesn't love you and told you anyway. That's the best kind of warning, he winced. I didn't know about the Benadryl, he said. I swear to God, Dad. I said melatonin to her last week. She runs more of our life than I admit. That's on me. I should have said, nothing I didn't, I'm sorry. He wasn't selling. He was standing. That matters. Old me would have poked hard. New me nodded once. Try different, I said. Freeze your credit. Take Mohegan Sun out of your vocabulary. Give Ms. Ramirez written instructions that no one but you can move your money. Then go to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting and sit in the back and listen for a month. His mouth twitched. You still giving homework? It keeps people alive, I said. You can roll your eyes and show up anyway. He looked at my porch rail. You need a hand? He asked. Always, I said. Mask there. Gloves in the bucket. Grab the driver. We worked without meta-commentary. He mitered one angle badly. I fixed it without turning it into a sermon. He set a screw, straightened a baluster, stood back, and looked at the rail like rails had been waiting for him to notice them. It feels better than the internet, he said. Most things do, I said. You could do this Saturdays at Carla's. She needs a counter built for to-go orders. She'll pay you in cash and praise. Both will feel weird. You'll live. He nodded, a little embarrassed, a little relieved. Okay? We didn't hug. We put the driver back where it belonged. It's a small, big thing. Friday, Ms. Ramirez called again. Just to make you smile, she said. Your son came in to put a note on his account. No withdrawals without him and his ID. He asked me to set a code word. He picked banana bread. I laughed, the good kind. He's learning, I said. One loaf at a time. Saturday morning. I brought my father's thermos to Carla. She filled it with coffee that started 2 arguments in the kitchen and solved them. Both. You bring me your boy for that counter, she said. I'll teach him how to take measurements that behave. He'll be here at noon, I said. Don't make it easy. I never do, she said. And we both grinned like conspirators. He came. He measured twice, cut once, and learned the secret trick of shimming a wall that lies without making the shim visible. Carla pushed him and fed him and told him one true thing he needed to hear. You're not hopeless. You're just sloppy. Be less sloppy. Ellie texted that night from her mom's pancakes. In a picture of a cartoon pancake on her tablet, I drove without asking questions, walked to the stoop, and waited while she remembered her jacket and her book. Meredith opened the door, eyes tight. It's your night tomorrow, she said. It's my granddaughter today, I said. We'll see you at noon. We made pancakes for dinner and drew faces on them with blueberries. Ellie made one that looked like Walt. Walt said harumph and ate it anyway. Sunday afternoon, Trevor knocked and handed Ellie a little Leveland, actual torpedo level, yellow and honest. For your bookshelf, he said. So your books don't slide? She beamed like her face found its light switch. Thank you, she said. And then to me, he's trying different. He was. So was I at church that evening where I go to hear music more than sermons. Liz found me on the steps with a file. States sent a letter, she said. Say sans desist to Mr. Marsh. Copy to Meredith. With a reminder that presenting a forged or unauthorized POA to a bank is a crime, they copied the bank. Ms. Ramirez framed it. I'll bake something for that branch, said. Bake for yourself, she said. The rest of us get paid. Banana bread, I said. Of course, she smiled. There will be more parts to this story. Men don't turn corners in one meeting. But a bank that says thermos, a state that says no, a counselor that says we've got her, and a Sunday that says pancakes add up to something stronger than a pitch deck. Put the thermos back on my kitchen table that night, dented and green and steady. My father's name is scratched on the bottom. Mine is on the binder in the safe. Ellie's will be on a diploma I'll sit too close to clap for. The house felt different. Not safer. Not yet. But truer. Truth is what keeps old beams from sagging when the next storm does what storms do. Truth and witness, and a code word only your people know. If you're listening on the channel, thanks for sticking with me. This is where the whisper becomes a life you can live in. Trevor showed up 3 Saturdays in a row at Carla's, with his sleeves rolled and his pride quiet. The first Saturday, he measured the counter twice and cut wrong anyway. Carla didn't flinch. You're not hopeless, she told him, pencil behind her ear. You're sloppy. Be less sloppy. He came back the next week with a notebook. He wrote down the right measurements and got the cut right. By the 3rd Saturday, he was shimmying a wall that lied and making it look like the wall had told the truth all along. Carla paid him cash and fed him soup with too much pepper and sent him home with a half loaf of bread for the kid who likes pancakes. He sent me a photo after his first GAW meeting, a white chip on his palm. The look men have when they've finally found a room that tells the truth at their pace. No speech, just the picture. I sent back a thumbs up and the only sentence that fit. Keep going. Meredith tried a different angle. She emailed Ellie's school claiming I'd shown signs of confusion and shouldn't pick Ellie up without prior approval. The principal looped in Ms. Holloway and Ms. Rivera, the social worker, who already had my incident number in their file, and Liz's letter about the trust and guardianship boundaries. They called me, documented the email, politely replied to Meredith with the current pickup authorization, list which still had my name. They also reminded her that weaponizing confusion can backfire. When there's a capacity letter and a police incident with her name next to drops, that evening, Ellie texted pancakes and a pancake emoji that looked smug. I drove to the curb outside their house, parked, and texted, "Outside. No doorbell." She came out with her backpack, a book, and her little yellow level. Meredith stepped into the doorway and folded her arms. "It's not your night," she said through her teeth. "It's my granddaughter," I said, calm. "We'll see you at noon tomorrow." Officer Perot rolled up behind me with the kind of timing you can't pay for. He stepped out, nodded, and said, "Just doing a drive-by. Any trouble?" "No," Ellie said valiantly. "We're making pancakes." He smiled. "Best kind of trouble." We went home and made blueberry pancakes. With faces that looked like Walt, Walt ate one and pretended to be offended and then took another to keep the peace. A wellness check showed up at my door the next morning, 2 officers I didn't know. "We received a call," one said gently. A family member concerned about confusion. I set the trust binder on the table and my doctor's capacity letter beside the thermos. They glanced through, checked my name against the incident number, and left with apologetic faces. 30 minutes later, Perot texted, "I'll have a chat about misuse of welfare calls. You're fine. Small towns aren't perfect. Sometimes are exactly what you need." Then came the conversation I'd been avoiding for 40 years. Trevor knocked on a Wednesday, it's afternoon, and held up a folded piece of paper like a truce flag. We sat on the porch steps. He opened it. It was the limited, durable power of attorney he'd brought to my kitchen in different clothes and a different folder. The words still did what they do. Give your name to someone else's hand. "I printed this," he said, not looking at me. "Before the party, I told myself it was structure. After Saturday, I told myself it was help. After Ga, I called it what it was." He took a breath. "A plan to get your money without your permission." "I'm sorry, I know," I said. It didn't cost me less to say it. It cost me less to hear it. He stood and tore the paper into neat strips the way men tear things. When they want the act to be polite and final, he handed me the pieces like they needed a witness. "I'm still mad you didn't trust me," he said, quiet. "And I'm glad you didn't." "That's about right," I said. He smiled a tired new smile. "Carla says I can build shelves if I stop pretending walls are straight," he said. "And Ga says I can listen if I stop pretending I already know. Both rooms are good at their jobs," I said. He looked at the porch rail he'd fixed 3 weeks earlier and ran his hand along the top like a man checking a line for splinters. "Thanks for giving me a place to stand without a pen," he said. Friday. The state sent a letter on heavy paper with seals that matter. "Cease and desist to Mr. Marsh." Copy to Meredith, reminding her that presenting a forged or unauthorized POA is a crime. Copy to Shoreline. Ms. Ramirez framed hers in the break room next to a sticky note that says, "Thermos in fat black letters, bring us cookies," she said when I stopped by to say thank you. "I'll bring banana bread," I said. It's the family currency now. Sunday was the one I'd been waiting for since Ellie wrapped herself around my leg at that party. We made pancakes without code words. We drew blueberry faces and an extra for the dog down the street because he has no self-control and deserves love anyway. Trevor came and brought bacon and didn't turn it into a joke. He checked the oven light that's been out for 2 months because the bulb is at a hateful angle. He fixed it and didn't ask for applause. At noon, Meredith texted, "Ellie back by 12:30? Thanks, no hearts, no knives." Just a sentence that did its job. We dropped Ellie off with a Tupperware and a level. Meredith took the container and the apology I didn't put in her mouth. "School emailed me," she said to the air between us. "About the email. They copy me," I said. "It's a good system." She looked at Ellie and then at me. "She stays out of the middle," she said. It wasn't a surrender. It was a line. "Good," I said. "That's all the middle wants to be." The last thing I did was the first thing Elaine would have told me to do years ago if I'd shut up long enough to hear her. Liz drew up one more letter. We sent it to Trevor with a copy to Meredith. Frank Dalton has established the Elaine and Belly Second Chances Fund at Shoreline Community College. This fund covers tuition, books, tool stipends for trades, and nursing programs for local students who need a start and a room that believes in them. Trevor is invited to take a basic carpentry evening course. Tuition paid if he completes it. No cash, no checks. Tools go in a box with his name on it when the semester ends. That's totally you, Walt said, reading it on my stoop with coffee that tasted like a job well done and a porch rail that was finally level. I know, I said. He elbowed me. Your father would like that name. He'd say, there's one too many words, I said. Then he'd put his name on the thermos and make coffee for the whole class. The following Sunday, Ellie put her level on the kitchen counter and checked the bubble. It's straight, she announced like she'd made the world herself. It is, I said. So are we. Trevor arrived late and hugged too long and didn't apologize for either. He slid a folded schedule onto the table carpentry class. Saturdays at Carlos. He didn't ask me for anything. He asked me what time pancakes happen next week. 5, I said. We'll try chocolate chips if Walt brings self-control. Walt harumphed on cue and ate a blueberry pancake face as if to prove we were all already doomed. After dinner, I washed the thermos and set it on the table to dry, dented and green and stubborn as the men who used it. Ellie drew a pancake with eyes on the back of an old estimate pad and taped it inside the pantry door, where pancakes equals pick me up still sits. She added a line in shaky letters, also means just pancakes. We laughed, because a house that can laugh on a Sunday can hold whatever Tuesday brings. At my son's birthday party, an 8-year-old grabbed my wrist and said, Grandpa, you have to leave now. I trusted her. It saved me. It also saved USB because after that whisper, built rooms with tables and rules and witnesses, and we decided to stand in them. My son didn't become a saint. He became a man who shows up and listens and learns knots his father should have taught him sooner. My daughter-in-law didn't become my friend. She became a person who understands that a boundary painted twice with witnesses holds in weather. My granddaughter stayed brave and ate, and safe enough to choose pancakes because they mean breakfast again, not rescue. The bank says thermos. The state says no. The school says we've got her. The kitchen says pour your own coffee. The porch rail says level. The thermos says Dalton. The trust binder says Elaine. The Sundays say family. And me. I stop at the pantry door sometimes and touch the tape on the silly drawing like it's a relic. Then I go make batter, because life this good requires you to keep stirring. Steady as she goes. Pancakes at 5.